Iku-Turso, or Iku-Turso for Finnish, is a Finnish kind of a sort of an evil entity, and as such, very fitting name for a band operating among extreme metal, or in this case, folk black metal. I've featured Iku-Turso in a couple of reviews before, both on MCD format as well as a demo, and now it's time for an album called Pakana, which translates to pagan or heathen. Officially it seems to be the second full-length album by the band, but then again the original one, Great Tower, was originally released sort of a independent version, so don't know how that really counts, but nevertheless here we are with some 43 minutes of Finnish folk black metal kind of a combo. And this is with a kind of a renewed lineup. Now there is a new member in the band, while other guys are still very much from the 2017 when the band was founded. This comes with a nice looking digipack with a very thick booklet, which then again features all nice imagery as well as lyrics. So this is very, very pleasing to an eye. More like browsing a catalog of sorts. Once again, a good example how much physical product can differ from boring digital files. Don't get me wrong, of course the music is what matters the most, but in my opinion, this is something that brings very much extra value to a recording. When you have some imagery, you have lyrics, you have maybe extra notes, and in general you have a whole package, so to say. So this is how Pakana looks like on CD. Obviously it's outside, it's out there in different formats as well. If you take a look at the band's Metal Archive site, you get the general idea what this band is all about. Like I said, founded in 2017 and already out with a couple of releases. The band has been quite an active one during its rather short lifespan so far. Now, like I said, Pakana is roughly 43 minutes of music, and it has 9 tracks, of which 2 are short instrumental ones, and the rest are very kind of a typical sort of a black folk release. I don't know, to be honest, why it does say independent. Maybe it's because it's digitally independent, but if you take a look at the other version, it clearly shows that this is a Wolfspell record with on tape, CD and vinyl, 2 different colors also. And on the band's Metal Archive site you will also find links to the Bandcamp and Facebook, for example, and in case you want to know, some similar artists are mentioned here. And this is interesting because it seems it's not only me, but this album is very much kind of relative to Satyricon, Burzum. I don't know if these other bands are so much on spot with this album, but in general they are parts of Isengard and Storm as well. So this is to give you a little bit of indication what others think about this album, and also something that I can pretty much agree. Here on the band's Bandcamp site you will get to see, of course, the cover art in high resolution version, and you get to listen to the music, which is obviously the most important thing. Now, I previously enjoyed Iku-Turso's music in various levels, and as such I must be honest about it and say that Pakana is a little bit of disappointment to me. Not a big one, just a slight one, because to be honest I was expecting a band to kind of level up, so to speak, be more convincing, more big, grander, if you will. But it seems like the band has kind of taken the safe and one could even say a shortcut route with its music now that it's in full-length format. Because the music here, while it is very safe and nice sounding, melodic folk black combination, it's also a tad bit boring at parts. And by boring I mean it's basically charting the paths that so many other bands have done before, but only in a slightly more, say, unoriginal and less interesting way. That is not to say this album isn't good, it's actually pretty nice to listen to, but some of the songs are more like sounding a little bit recycled material. And for example, compared to the Storm over Isengard MCD, this feels a little bit less captivating all in all. Now the production is rather lo-fi, but it's not boring. The screamy vocals are kind of a high-pitched and affected and sort of on the background, and actually quite fitting. All these elements plus synths used remind me not only Satyricon but also Emperor. All those early age releases, that is early 90s, mid 90s at most. And also there are some riffs which just remind you Burzum right out of, like, hey, this could be a Burzum tribute of sorts. So this is very much a kind of a release which is paying homage to the early 90s and even some mid 90s Norwegian black metal pioneers. But the thing here is, this is not as good as early Satyricon, not as good as early Emperor, not as good as early Burzum, and the list could go on. There are some elements which could remind you of Take and even Finnish name Horna, but definitely more on the Norwegian side than so-called Finnish sound. Now the Finnish aspect is very much on the album because you will hear Finnish shouts here, you will hear shouts that are related to Finnish culture and history, so there is definitely this nice layer of Finnish mentality here, along with the kind of Norwegian sounding black folk metal. So all in all, it includes kind of a fresh ideas and also some kind of a very familiar ideas. And the rest is quite nice, but I can't really be honest about it and say it's a great album. I think it's worthwhile listening to an album. It's definitely better than any mediocre one, but something is still missing if I compare to the Storm over Isengard. So it's like all the pieces are there, but not maybe in the right order. Or I could even put it in this way. If this was MCD with only the best parts included and removing the not so good parts, this could be a little bit better. Definitely worth listening to, especially if you just happen to be into folk and black metal. But I would be a little bit kind of reserved not to expect too much out of this. A decent, definitely, and quite good at some points, but still missing something. Maybe instead of copying or paying tribute to these veteran bands, the band could have taken a little bit more dangerous but more challenging but more personal route instead of going with the Norwegian path. Because now, with the kind of a path chosen, the band will be compared to the others, the ones that are actually highly respected, and as such you really can't beat those names with this competition. Anyway, don't take my word for that. Obviously you need to make up your own mind, and as such you need to listen to the album. But in case you just happen to be allergic to folk black, no go, this won't change your opinion about it. With these words said, take a look at the links provided, and what can I say? I hope you enjoy it. See ya and bye bye.